Hello friends and welcome back to another video, and the official trailer has dropped for the Rings of Power Season 2, and boy is there a lot to discuss and there's a lot to break down in here as it is quite a spoilery trailer. So please make sure to like and subscribe as we have come quick to try get to this breakdown, and without further ado let's just get right into it here. So war is coming to Middle-earth, and here Durin the third is talking to Durin the fourth. And could this be the reason why he's trying to justify getting one of the rings of power? Because we see Annatar also in the Dwarven Kingdom later on, probably giving the ring. So this is here Durin the third trying to justify having the Dwarven Ring of Power, and of course Durin the fourth not agreeing with it here. Then look at Eregion in the background, and the orcs about to go march on the city. Wow, that is looking a lot like Minas Tirith as well. So a lot of orc battles and shots here. We've seen this one before, but then the trebuchets. Wow, doesn't that remind you of Helm's Deep a bit? Truly going to be quite an interesting way. As you can still see there, you can see the thing that's stopping them is a riverbank, as you can see in the middle between those two soldiers. But it looks like there's going to be something interesting with that river happening, because we do see water and a big wave come through around the Eregion Mountains later on in the trailer that we will get to. But it looks like they're going to have to drain this river first, which they end up doing as we see later on in the trailer. So yep, as you can see, look, they're fighting beneath the walls now, and there's clearly not a lot of place for them to do that. That's probably the drowned riverbed they are fighting on. And we see Elrond here as well. We see more of Galadriel, but nothing more new there. Then this is the work of Sauron. And we get to see a big montage here of Halbrand changing. This is him in Eregion at the start, going to all his different forms we see in the season, and him waking up. And there we go. So we have Annatar in Eregion. So this is probably him trying to convince Durin the third, and maybe that's why at the start he's trying to explain to Durin the fourth, yes, this is why we need rings. This is because the war is coming, because Annatar's probably given a false information to him, or trying to convince him that he's going to need these rings, and that looks like what will end up happening. We go forward a bit more, and wow, this is quite interesting. We see Annatar's power. So look how he just grabs the hilt of the sword so quickly, and just there you go. See the pass over here. He almost grabs the blade, it looks like, and then yep, takes it back, and then there we go. Rest in peace to that elven soldier. See a bit more rune. Then we get a lot of Gil-galad speaking throughout this trailer, and he says our armies cannot defeat him. And he's speaking to Elrond here. Could this be the scene where he is trying to send Elrond to help save the day of Eregion and send his army? Because we do also see Gil-galad fighting, but that is later on. So maybe this scene here is him trying to convince Elrond to lead an army on behalf of Lindon and go and save the day. And then this is what he'll be trying to save. As we see fightings happening on the walls, we see already so many dead bodies in the pits below. It is pretty incredible. Here we see them coming up with the ladders as well, siege ladders. Then we see him walking through the city. We've seen that one before. Then with the text, the voiceover is very interesting, and part of this could be Círdan. Once the deceiver obtains a being's trust, he gains the ability to sculpt their very thoughts. This is Gil-galad. And then very interesting, this next point and part. Is this a flashback to season 1, or are they back in Lindon again? Because it seems like something's happening to both of them in this moment, because they're both connected to Annatar / Sauron in different ways, with Sauron fooling Galadriel in season 1, and this whole second season being mainly Sauron and Celebrimbor, because we see the roots going around him, and it looks like they're pulling into him here. And Galadriel is watching. Is she also being pulled back or being dragged back? And look how shocked she is, and you can see how the roots are just going around him, maybe into him as well. They're going into his body, it looks, and seems like you can see the middle right there. So, and so it's probably just a flashback, or just a moment of Sauron just manipulating the environment around him somehow. We move on to more battle charges, and we get a little bit of Numenor, and we get to see, in fact, these white clothed people, which are either probably the faithful, but more importantly, they are actually the religious sect in Numenor. So yeah, these are the priests that we're going to be seeing a new high priest in Numenor in season 2. So that's very interesting that they are getting rounded up, and we have Iardian right there, seeing this all happening. Maybe she's instigated something and is now realizing that there's actual consequences, which is very interesting. So these are the priests in Numenor, and maybe this is showing the faithful versus Kingsman divide, because maybe the priests and religious sect here in Numenor are more closer to the Valar and the faithful, and this is them, maybe Pharazôn leading a way to get them away and stop this happening. We now see more orc action. A lot of this trailer is that. And then Anatar. Of course, these two aren't looking at each other, but as we go ahead, Círdan says this line, "You are wise to fear these rings." And we see Durin and Disa almost at the bottom of, in the marketplaces in Khazad-dûm probably, and it'd be interesting to see what they are trying to find out. And then, interestingly, even further, this is probably Durin talking to Durin after, near the end of the season, once he has the ring. Because remember, from the first trailer, we see Durin push Durin the fourth away. So maybe this is Durin to Durin conversation. This is where the full fight begins. Then in Sauron's hands, they can work an evil beyond reckoning. Wise, wise words here. Look, and then the really interesting part, we see Eregion before and after. It almost is reminiscent of Dale in a sense that we get to see later on. But then we have Gil-galad in battle, which is really great to see. Of course, this will be mirroring or foreshadowing him at the Battle of the Last Alliance. Of course, he's got Aeglos in his hands, which is really nice to see. And one of our scoops, we see Galadriel caged up. And look at the orcs around her. Wow, this is quite an interesting moment. And how come is she going to escape that cage? Maybe that's going to be Elrond trying to help her and save the day and capture her from being caged. Then this is the river we were on about. So the mountains in the background are the ones, confirmed, we can see, are the ones around Eregion. Who has pushed this river? And almost like in the Two Towers, when the Ents, they go and, you know, flood Isengard, is Eregion going to be flooded? Is Anatar's deception doing this? Is this Adar? Or is this even maybe like Gil-galad? So when they're all fighting and the siege is happening, he releases, or could even be the Ents, where they release and save the day and stop some of the battle happening at the bottom when the Eregion walls are being sieged. This gets released. So yeah, let us know who you think is releasing this wave in Eregion, in around Eregion. Then a big thing of this trailer is, does Disa lose her voice? And this is what's happening here, or she's reacting to the Balrog. But a big theme and theory from this trailer is that Disa has potentially lost her voice, and that is why, or at least lost the ability to sing, and that is why Anatar has been able to go in and fool everyone, because they can't hear Disa's voice or reasoning, which is a very interesting way to look at that. And then we go a bit further, we see this shot from before. A big thing in this episode is, and this trailer is, is in fact Adar making it clear to Galadriel that he's potentially not on the same side as Anatar. We even maybe to even see them try reason with each other, which we'll get back to later on. But here, as compared to the comparison of Dale earlier, we see the Feanor statue in the middle. We see even a dog with goat ears, or that's a goat, in the bottom right corner. We see a lovely couple to the left. But the point here is, look how good Eregion is before everything happens. This is really reminiscent of before Smaug came to Dale. But yes, as we continue here, and this is where some of the best parts of the trailer is, where this is Celebrimbor probably started to realize he's trying to find out who this Charlie Vickers character is. And look at this, what have you done to me? You can see how maybe potentially the hair color even changed, but that could also just be the lightning. But you can see vision, and then this is the what have you done to me moment. Who are you truly? And then again, I am the one keeping the storm at bay. This could be the similar thing he told to King Durin, and that's why he has to keep the ring. Maybe he's trying to convince these people when given the rings that yes, there's a battle coming, there's a war coming, but we have these rings. I can save the day. That is potentially what is happening here. But again, we see more battle shots. Of course, see him down and buried and out, dead. Elves probably in a. They even see him cry, which is probably one of the most impactful scenes of the trailer, because you just see him crying there and just no look or remorse on Sauron's face right there, which just even hits home. And then, of course, we see him in his beautiful angelic form at the start. So you can see how different and how many different phases Annatar's going to be going in throughout the season. Then this is the coast of Numenor. We don't see much more there. This, it looks like, to the left is Círdan's house. This is the Grey Havens. Maybe after Elrond's went in first with his battle. So earlier in the trailer, we saw Gil-galad talking to Elrond and telling him to go and save the day, go to Eregion, try free them there. But then that doesn't work. And then now we have Gil-galad having to take action into his own hands and go to Eregion. And they do it via ship. And via ship means they're going to go from the Grey Havens. So maybe this is the link here. So they're going from the Grey Havens to Eregion to save the day. Maybe they got the Gothlo, who knows. Sauron is my enemy as much as yours. So this is Adar saying this to Galadriel. You can again see them trying to maybe even at their side by side here, which is very, very interesting. And then what a shot here. You can see almost it looks like he's showing the army and what's going to be happening to Middle-earth. Balrog again, maybe it's just a vision that Annatar shows, but we see more scenes of Galadriel here and a horn being blown from the Eregion army. Maybe that's Elrond's first introduction because we do know he leads the Elven charge. So this is probably them saving the day or even saving Galadriel. It could be him, could be that as well. We see, of course, Isildur will be meeting Shelob in season 2, and this is him in her lair probably. And then this is a big thing. Is Ciarán Hinds the wizard character, the leader of the Mystics, who look like new Mystics and their cult in season 2? And so visually, he looks like Saruman, but he's also looking like he is maybe quite evil, and of course Saruman takes a while to get evil, so it's looking like we're gonna have to wait to see, unless he's a corrupted blue wizard as well. That could be another option for him, but he clearly has a throne here. Then of course we get the same Pharazôn scene, and then Celebrimbor dropping the rings, and interestingly we have, it looks like the stranger maybe even controlling the fire, or it looks like he's actually reacting to the fire, and Tom Bombadil is doing something somehow to make the fire go flame. Maybe he's teaching him these skills, and looks like he might even be singing here to make the fire go up. That'd be quite interesting, would it not? Then we see more looks at Elrond, him trying to go there. Adar saying kill them all. More battle shots. And then this is where it gets interesting. These two, even though it's not the same room, how their dynamic is going to work is going to be interesting, because we do know in episode 1 at the start, Adar kills Sauron. So how they're going to meet up again is going to be interesting. Very, very interesting. And then look, even to the camera, that even might be a behind the scenes moment, because he's doing it right at the camera right there. Very interesting. Valandil is tackling Kemen to the ground, but then Kemen has Valandil's face in the water. What's happening between them? Why is there tension between these two? Is a very interesting thing. Could it be linked to Iardian, because she is, you know, meant to be having a love plot or whatever with Kemen, and there's something happening there? I don't know. That's one possibility. Maybe it's a faithful versus Kingsman thing. Valandil is a faithful, and then Kemen, of course, son of Pharazôn, is a Kingsman, and that's them, you know, with Isildur gone, who's going to take up the mantle, because they don't know he's still alive. So it's interesting that we're seeing him get submerged right there. Bit more of Nori. Amazing scene of tracking shot of the elves probably going to Eregion. Then we see Theo with what seems like an Ent kicking probably, or hitting an orc away, or trying to pick him up. But that looks like a woman, interestingly, in front. I wonder who that is. Then a big, big siege look. She's then one of the coolest moments of the trailer. We see Arondir about to jump on Damrod, and probably looks like it might be his demise, because we already know that's happening because of the demise of, or the fall of, the Lost Ballad of Damrod. And also he has so many arrows in him. He's looking one for wear. You can see the cuts on his arms. It'll be interesting to see how that all ends up. Then the final moments of this trailer, the crowns. Annatar picks up the crown. he and Galadriel face off, and the only thing he says is Galadriel. So the big question here is this real life, or is this just a dream sequence? Is this like Sauron playing with Galadriel? Because it's in an open field. And the second thing here is he only says Galadriel. Like, surely if they'd met each other, and they didn't just both spawn here out of nowhere, they must have spoken beforehand. But it seems like a first hello to Galadriel after a long time. He's saying basically, look, they're making their acquaintance again for the first time, which is very interesting. And one possibility is, could this be, as you can look at Galadriel here, she has the same costume and she looks worn for wear. You can see the cuts on her face. Could this be linked to potentially when she was in the cage? Because she looks nearly the exact same as when in the cage, as we will scroll to right here. And maybe that is why. So because she is so wary in the cage and has been there for so long, look, it's the same costume. And maybe she gets bruised a bit more. You can see it there. Because she's in the cage, maybe she has a dream sequence when Adar, because it looks like Adar's almost trying to turn Galadriel to be on his side, but then maybe one of those moments to stop that, Anatar gives him her vision or something like that. Well, maybe there could be a link between the two. But if this fight is present day, surely it has to be one of the final episodes. But again, we have to wait to see. And so much comments about him being a snake, slithering into people's minds, worming his way in. You can see even in the costumes, you can see bits, even here as the right hand side, you can see like a worm, slithery type design on his arms. And then again, even on the chest piece as well, like even two serpents or snakes intertwining. So yeah, maybe there is a link between the two there. And yes, that is the trailer for The Rings of Power Season 2, premiering August 29th. Let us know if we missed anything, what your thoughts are in the comments below. Personally, I really like this trailer. It was something that really made sense in regards to how the story is going to be working out in the second season. Clearly, we're going to be seeing a Celebrimbor and Anatar-centric story, and it'll be very exciting to see how this all plays. Of course, there's still reservations, because season 1, some people liked it, some people didn't. It could have been at least a bit more setup. That was a season full of setup. Now we're actually getting into the story. So now this is the chance for them to fully execute it. And everything we're seeing so far, lots of Celebrimbor Sauron lore stuff, so we'll just have to wait and see until not long now. We haven't got long, under 2 weeks. So please make sure to like and subscribe, comment if you miss anything, and we'll see you in the next video, friends.